Hey, Petey Grizz here. Today I wanted to talk about the Victorinox Walker and Lumberjack, which are essentially the same thing, just separated by a number of years. But first, I wanted to thank Tobias for showing some support and helping me out. He's just a great guy, and I love his channel, so I appreciate that very much, Tobias. So, anyway, the Lumberjack was released in the 70s, but before that they had an ALOX model 2231, and it was the old style ALOX with the ribbed scales. I believe it came out in the 1960s. I can't really find much info on it. I don't think it lasted much longer than the 1970s because you don't see many of them and there's not much info on them out there. But anyway, they introduced the Lumberjack, and originally the Lumberjack configuration was this. It has, of course, the saw, which is the same modern saw we have now. It has the brushed face and some dirt on it, of course, because why would I clean my knife before shooting a video? That would be smart. And it has the straight teeth up and down. Great saw. Anybody who's used one of their saws knows they're just fantastic saws. It has, of course, the main blade, the large 84 millimeter. Well, I don't know if the blade's 84 millimeters, the whole knife is, but the smaller large blade of their large blades, which this one has the Victorinox Switzerland stainless rust-free tang stamp, and nothing on the back, which was typical for the economy line. And this puts this one somewhere around the mid-70s, 1975-ish. But what's interesting about this is they hadn't created the combi tool. The combi tool came out in 1982. So until then, they were just using the regular cap lifter screwdriver with the wire bender in it. So no combo tool until 1982, when the modern version of the Lumberjack that later became the Walker would have developed. So anyway, in 1986 they actually had a Lumberjack Big, which was obviously a 91 millimeter version with the same tool configuration. It was only out for a year. They're very hard to find. They're highly collectible. I don't have one, obviously, because they're hard to find. I would love to have one. But 1985 and 86, they're a huge year for Victorinox, because that is when what we see now as the modern Swiss Army knife from them really took its, final form, in that was the year that the pliers came out. That's the years the Swiss Champ was released. It's the years that they put the half stop on the bottle opener. It's the years that they put the hole in the reamer. So what we see as the modern Swiss Army knife took its final form around that time, and really hasn't changed a whole lot since. Sure, some tools have been added and gotten rid of, but basically it stayed that. The Swiss Champ has basically stayed the same with few alterations since, and that's their flagship model. So anyway, the Lumberjack after 1982 would have had the combination tool, and that lasted up until the 90s, maybe the early 2000s. They started phasing them out. In the 2000s and 2010s, they did some limited edition runs, some ALOX runs, but they really didn't, put too much behind the Lumberjack. So in 2015, they decided, what's old is new again, and they put it out as the Walker. So the Walker obviously has the same saw, the same blade, except now with the Victorinox tang stamp. Obviously, there were Lumberjacks with Victorinox tang stamps. It's just that one is an economy version made for Hofferth. And the combo tool, as we all know and love. This one I have done something cool with. I call this my Fire Walker. So this is that survivor cord. It's got tinder in it. It's got fishing line, metal wire, all kinds of useful stuff in it. And what I've done is inside here, I've actually braided an 1/8 inch by 2 inch long fire steel right into there, and that thing's in there good. I might be able to show it to you. It's right there, but it holds it in there good. And if I ever needed to, I could take this apart and get a fire started. It's highly unlikely, but it's cool. This one also has toothpick and tweezers, which obviously this economy version does not have. Now, what I really want is, there's a popular mod out there known as the Shack Jack, and that basically combines puts a pair of scissors on the Walker, or puts a saw on the Golfer, depending on how you want to look at it. I like to call it the Caddy Jack. And as soon as I can find a proper pair of donor scissors for it, because 84 millimeter scissors are hard enough to find as it is, let alone I don't want to go tearing apart a rare vintage knife just to take the scissors out of it. So I got to try to find a beater if I can that has good scissors, but maybe a broken blade or something like that. But anyway, I think the Caddy Jack is just a super cool mod. I know I've seen Swiss Army Dan calls his a Shack Jack. I think that's a great name too, you know, coming from the Caddy Shack movie. But anyway, the Walker is just a great little knife. It's just a minimalist package for, you know, hiking or camping. You can do a lot with those little tools right there. I mean, how many screwdrivers do you need in the wilderness? It's not like you're going to be you're working on much machinery out in the wilderness as Phillips screws or anything like that. But you can certainly pry and dig around with that, open a beer with it, and have a good time. So anyway, that's about all I have to say on this knife. It's a pretty simple knife, pretty simple story. Anyway, Petey Grizz out. Thanks for watching.